Benji Brady. Welcome into another episode. I always feel like a game show host. I was actually thinking in the car today, I'm like, how can I better start the
If you
episode?
get paid as much as Ryan Seacrest on Wheel of Fortune, you'd be...
I kid you not. I was driving home from the gym this morning thinking about recording this new episode, and I'm like, I need to find a better way to start the episode, because I was listening back through ours. I'm like, I sound like a game show host every time.
Hey, maybe Adam, that's drawing people in. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Maybe it is. I don't have any money to give them, so it's not going to be one of those game shows. So,
hey, sponsored by.
I will tell you, yeah, we're sponsored by. I will tell you, thank you all for listening. And we've gotten our ratings are going, seems like out the roof. Just so many people tuning in, listening. We're getting feedback now, questions. Just thank you guys so much for all of you that listen and or watch on YouTube. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it.
Always. We need the engagement from you, and that's why we do it. To be here just to kind of provide some things to you guys, some insights. So we're excited about today. We're going to go ahead and jump in straight to the episode to today. And we're talking about being happy on purpose. Love the slogan. Love the tagline. Benji, this is something you came up with. Why don't you talk a little bit about what does that mean? Like, why happy on purpose? Like, what is that?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I just happened to be in the drive-thru line of Starbucks, imagine that, a few weeks ago. And I had ordered my drink, and let me tell you what I get, because I'd like to know what you guys get. I know, Adam, you're not a big Starbucks guy. I get it. But I order a venti skinny caramel macchiato hot with almond milk and 4 stevia in it. And I know that you're thinking, why in the world would you order all that? It kind of like a holiday time. It's kind of like the caramel brulee latte they have that comes out on November, I think, 4th or whatever every year. But it's kind of the year-round version. And Brady has inspired me. If you're watching on YouTube, we go to these different cities now. So I get these little cups, from Starbucks to prove where we've been or whatever, I don't have a collector's cabinet or anything like that. But I know Brady had what you said, the Been There series they had back in the day?
Yeah, they had Been There, and you had to actually go to get it, and now they've cheated. So you can just buy whatever mug that you want online.
That defeats the purpose.
Probably get it on Amazon or something. Yeah.
I feel like that defeats the purpose.
Yeah, well, he may have given away my secret, but no, I did not order this online. We were there.
Oh, I believe you. You got that one physically in person.
Yeah, I always wait till we get back to the airport so I don't have to carry it around all week, whatever. But yeah, I'd gone through the drive-thru and was ordered my drink, and my drink was taking a little bit longer than it normally does, and I was the only one in line, and I look up and I'm like 4 deep, and sometimes when you're in the drive-thru line, you're like, oh man, what is everybody else thinking behind you? And then you go, it's really not my fault because I'm waiting on my drink. And the barista, she started to have a conversation with me through the window, and you could tell she was trying to kill some time and try to take my mind off of the length of the time that it was actually taking to make the coffee. So she just started a conversation. She said, how's your day going, so far? Do you got any special plans for the day? And I was kind of like, well, that's kind of nice. Somebody, just wanted to start a conversation. And then I'm sure they've probably trained her to, if something's taking longer, to just start having a conversation. And so I started to think about this, you never know what someone's going through. I know we've talked about this before, but you just don't know. And sometimes for you business owners, managers, you walk into your place of business sometimes and you've got 5 employees, 50 employees, 500 employees, and you get caught in the hustle and bustle of the day to start your day, start your process, whatever that is. And sometimes it's the little things that, we had an episode about it's in the details, the little things that matter. How can we change the outcome of our employees' day? Because they come in, think about it, they come in and you never know what they're dealing with at home, their family life, whatever the case may be. And it was interesting. I thought about this Starbucks barista lady. She just changed the outcome of what I thought, what is taking so long? This is Starbucks. Starbucks is not normally like this, right? And so she just started to have the conversation. So I was like, what if we get interrupted, right? How can we choose to make people happy? And especially with our employees, because these are the backbone to what we do every single day. They're the front line. They're the ones that make it happen out on the front line. So we have to teach them when you approach a customer, we have to have a smile on our face because we never know what that person's going through. So it was just really interesting to hear her kind of just change the outcome of what we were trying to do. Do we get frustrated? We have a choice, right, Brady? We have a choice every single day when we come to work to put on our game face, right, and do whatever it takes to help our, especially our employees.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, Benji, of back in the day. I don't know if we've actually showed this anytime recently, but like in orientation years and years ago, you remember the fish video?
Oh yeah,
And
Seattle,
it's the fish market, Seattle, Washington, the fish market, and we'll have to pull that back out. That was a great video, but they were just talking about, they're dealing with stinky fish and all this stuff, and they just found a way to make it fun. And I remember one of the lines that one of the guys said in the video is, "You have a choice. You have a choice." Like I think sometimes we forget that. Is, do we react? We can, but we have a choice as human beings that we can make a choice to react either a good way or a bad way to whatever situation, and we have a choice to either be happy or not to be happy. Kind of goes back to that hope thing that we talked about a little bit.
Yep.
It gives you hope when you are happy, but I think it's to me personally, I think it's a mindset, and it's you wake up every day and you're making that conscious choice to do something good that day.
Well, I'm finally getting through it, but the book that will not be named that Brady hates.
We cannot say that on the podcast.
Not saying it on the podcast.
Cannot.
Great book. But one of the things, one of the chapters that he talks about is how much we as individuals make such emotional decisions on everything we do. And I know I'm the pot calling the kettle black. That's me. Like, I'm an emotional person. I make emotional decisions. You're just talking about being aware, and I know for me, I have to think about things, and so that's why a lot of times for me, when we're dealing with something, I have to remove myself from things at times, so I can deal with that frustration for a second. I need to process and go through those things when I'm frustrated with a situation, when I'm frustrated with a coworker or a customer, whatever it is. Those are some of the things you're just talking about practicing. For me, that's my coping mechanism. I need to step away for a second. When it's just me, I can say what I want to myself. I can say how I feel. It doesn't matter if it sounds ridiculous. Doesn't matter if it sounds childish. But what I realize for me is in those moments where I have to decide to be happy in the situation because I am reacting emotionally, I have to take a moment, get it out of my system before I have that conversation with whoever it is, or talk to someone about the situation. I know for me that's something that I've always have to do. If I don't, then I'm gonna react wrong. I'm gonna have to come back and I'm gonna have to apologize, and I'm gonna have to. I just don't want to show that side. So I know for me, you're just talking about how do we work through it, how do we handle those things. Choosing to be happy. I have to be. You have to be aware, right? You have to be aware of how you are, how you respond, and what you do. If you don't, you're going to continually get into a cycle of acting that way, talking that way, speaking that way. And that's just, for me, that's where I'm at.
Let's think about this too. I mean, this is the Higher Up podcast, so I would imagine that most people listening are in some type of a leadership role. Mm-hmm. And, just speaking of leadership in general, I know we tell our leaders all the time, a simple concept, and many people have said this line, so it's nothing new, but, from a leadership perspective, more is caught than taught. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you are leading people, when you are leading others in whatever type of organization, people are looking at you. People are saying, Adam, he's telling me this over here, but he's responding this way. Mm-hmm. And, it's kind of like with your kids. Are they going to do more about what you say or more about how they see that you're reacting to a certain situation? Probably the latter. And so that making that conscious choice, it is a choice to say, you know what, if I am in some type of leadership role, and if you're a parent, you're in a leadership role, is making that choice to be happy or have a positive attitude, because people are watching.
Yeah,
people are always looking.
We're trying to teach Addie that right now. For our listeners, Addie's our oldest, and she is cut from me. She's an emotional person. I mean, like, in the mornings, if she's having a bad day, like everybody else is gonna have a bad day. Like she gonna make sure, like if I feel this way, y'all gonna feel this way. And we're trying to get her to kind of see that too. And you're talking about being a parent. For me, seeing that helps a lot too, to be aware. Because I think you and I, Brady, when we were having one-on-ones, it's like, man, I see so much of myself in her, and it makes you more apparent because you're essentially watching yourself, right? Like you're watching a version of you. And I'm like, man, I think I've even asked you before. I'm like, is that how I've been in situations? Because I was like,
and what have I told you?
Yes,
They're watching. They're watching. Yeah.
and yes, and that's the other side too. That's a good point. They're watching too, so that's the other side. And I've told her before, I'm like, look, you and I both are emotional people. We get annoyed and angry or faster when things don't go our way. No. You have to be aware of it at all times.
I think that's a struggle people have, me included. You know, we have to be aware of it, right? If you know where the downfall is, you can fix anything, but you have a choice how you're going to respond to it, right? And, you know, do we get frustrated in the process? 100%. We get frustrated probably with it more than we should, you know, because people, you ask them to do something and you know what's best in the interest of your, you know, that specific task that you're doing at that time. And they have a choice to respond, yep, I'm going to do it, what my supervisor asked me to do, or man, I'm going to do it this way different. And there's 16 ways to get there, right? You can still get to the same outcome. But we have a choice, and we have to choose, to your point, not to be frustrated with the process because they're going to respond in a certain way. We have to be ready. I'll never forget, there was a book that Dad always taught Brady and I read books. Well, Brady took advice from it, and I didn't, right? I don't read a lot of books. I told you guys on a few podcasts, I started listening to a lot more episodes of just podcast in general, honestly, just to try to pick up, because I can ride down the road. I was really bad about listening to a lot of music. It's not bad. I mean, I just listened to a lot of genres of music and such, but I thought, you know what, maybe I should start filling my mind with some good, you know, like leadership stuff and whatever. And so I finally was like, Dad said, hey, I need you to read books. Well, when he passed away in 2017, I was cleaning his office out and I found this book in there, and it talked about the 5 good traits of being a good coach. And the book was really thin, but it had real big letters on it. And I thought, I can actually read this one. This one will be good for me. I don't know that it would do me any good to listen to an audio book because I'd probably get bored to death. But if I can hear conversations of what people are having through a podcast, it's probably a little easier. Some of you out there listening may be the same way. But, you know, I read this book, and the 5th one talked about if you just take the time to thank an employee or thank someone for the job that they do, thank them for being there, thank them for serving, thank them for whatever the case may be, that thank you goes a long way. And then when I'm in the drive-thru line of this Starbucks again with this barista, and she's having a conversation with me, and you're going to hear towards the end of the episode what she said to really kind of change the outcome of the you know, sitting there and waiting. It was really enlightening to me because we have a choice every day to be happy or not, and we can wake up. Some people say you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you know. Well, you have a choice how you respond when you wake up. And, you know, it goes into your, you know, physical life, whether you're trying to exercise and be healthy more. It goes into your spiritual life, whether you're trying to read a devotion, read the Bible, whatever the case may be, you have a choice. And there are days that I wake up and I probably did wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and I choose not to go exercise. Well, I know that's not good for my health. You know, Sarah tells me all the time, she said, hey, did you exercise today? She never says, you should have exercised. But she'll say, hey, did you exercise today? And I was like, no, I didn't. She goes, well, maybe you should go give it a run. So she's doing it in such a way to encourage versus just, you know, hammer down. We have a choice to be happy. And there are times, again, we walk into work, you see that employee over there, and just saying, hey, how's your day going? How you doing? How you doing at home? How's things going? Just having a conversational piece, because a lot of times in the management and employee world, the employees, I think, feel like, do my bosses really care about me? You know, do they really care about me? And just taking a moment, hey, good morning, everyone. How's things going? Good morning, changes everything. Brady, I'm sure you see it all the time there at the office.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a lot easier when we were a lot smaller to go around to everybody and say, "Hey, good morning," and exactly what you were saying. It makes a big difference in somebody's life for that day. It's gotten more difficult as we've gotten more team members, but it's still impactful. And I think going back to the leadership piece is what we do gets translated down to the leaders that we're serving each and every day. So if we're doing it, then they're going to do it, and hopefully they're going to do it with their people, and it's just a trickle down effect all the way down through the organization.
Yeah. I feel like the two of y'all though have always been able to handle those type of situations, like you public facing, and I don't mean just like public as in our consumers and customers and clients, but I mean even with our own team. I mean, I've been in one-on-ones with you guys where you've expressed like, hey, this is frustrating. We talk through it, whether that's with me or a situation we're dealing with. But I just feel like in terms of like the way that I feel like y'all have mastered handling those things in that public eye, because I've even asked you about it before, Brady. I'm like, I don't understand. How do you handle that? How do you do it? How do you, and you've just kind of, said, hey, it's the exact same thing you're talking about now. You're like, hey, if I respond this way in that moment, I'm realizing that I'm sitting in front of our entire team. And if I respond in that way, it almost is like I'm acknowledging them and giving them the freedom to respond that way as well. And so,
well, and Adam, you're 100% right. I mean, it's all in how we react to situations. I will never forget. This was years and years and years ago, but I had this. It's back in the day when I was kind of handling, some customer complaints. We have a team that does not that now, thank goodness. But we had this one lady that called, and I mean, she was just really, really, really upset. And so I got on the phone with her, and I was like, "Ma'am, what? Negotiating 101 or customer service 101, what can we do to help solve your issue?" And she just kept going and kept getting louder and louder. And she was using some choice words and honestly some words I'd never heard before. And so I learned a lot that day. But she just kept getting madder and madder and madder. And I finally said, "Ma'am, what is it that you want me to do?" And she says, "I don't have anything that I want you to do other than get upset with me."
I'd be like, I'm mad too.
And I said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. I just can't do that. If there's something practical that you want us to solve, if there's something that we can fix, I'll be glad to do that. But if you keep talking this way, I have no other choice than just to hang up, because there's nothing I can do at that point." Yeah. But all she wanted me to do was get upset and get mad, and it was just going to escalate the situation.
Yeah.
And I was just as calm with her as possible. But it was just the most interesting conversation I've probably ever had in my life.
Well, I've experienced that with even my own wife before. I mean, we always joke about how similar Emily and you are, Brady. But like, there's times where she'll tell me something. Like, she'll tell me something, whether it's work, family related, that she's frustrated with, and I'll interject and be like, "Well," and then she'll get mad at me, and she's like,
"Yeah.
I literally just want you to listen to me." Like, and I think sometimes, like, when you talk about the situation, choosing to be happy, choosing to understand, sometimes that's all people want, is to have that, is to just, hey, let me get my frustration out. I don't expect you to solve it, but if you'll just give me a chance, I feel like it'll make me feel better. And I feel like that's kind of like you and that with that customer. She's just like, yes, she wanted you to get mad with her, but I think subconsciously too, she just wanted somebody to hear her and just.
Yeah.
I said
I heard
piece.
her. I heard her.
I
heard more than I wanted to.
We actually had somebody, Adam, you probably saw on one of our, I don't know what social platform it was, maybe it was YouTube, but somebody said, we were talking about the Disney theme on one of our episodes, and the guy said, you can't make everybody happy. And I thought about it for a second. He's not wrong. You can't. But I responded back and I said, you are correct. However, when you go to Disney, they're going to go out of their way to try to make everyone happy, regardless of what it is. I mean, they bend over backwards to make sure that your customer experience is second to none. We did, and by the way, I'm going to preface this by saying we've only ever done this one time. We went to Disney. They have a thing they call it a VIP experience. We went with Adam and Emily and their kids for their birthdays. I think it was November a year ago,
Yeah, it was
maybe.
last year, about a year ago.
And we chose. You know what? There's 10 of us. We're gonna pay to do the VIP thing because we wanted to do a Crash Disney one day, get it all done. Like it was, and it rained the entire time.
Entire time.
Ooh.
The
Entire
and
time.
But what was really cool was the lady. She met us. I'll be honest, Adam. I don't know what you thought. She looked like Mary Poppins when she walked up.
She walked up with, she had her umbrella. She was dressed like Mary Poppins, and she had a little magical bag of goodies.
Yeah, and in that bag of goodies was ponchos. She had a poncho for everyone, and this lady walked around with us all day long in the pouring rain, and her whole mission was to make our experience a good one, regardless of the circumstance. And I thought about that guy on YouTube, and I was like, he's not wrong, but we have a choice every day to try to change someone's day, try to make them happy. If we, to your point, Brady, that lady just wanted to, she just wanted you to be upset, and you chose not to. And
Well, I remember my dad used to always tell me the same thing. He's pastored since he was 15. And he always used to teach me, no matter what I preach on, somebody's not going to like it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It don't the topic, they're not going to agree. They're not going to like my illustrations. He's always said that. He's like, but I have to choose just to continue to do what I feel like this is what God's called me to do, is to preach, to bring the word, to pastor others. But I just remember, because I always got to see the tough part of ministry with him, like people's complaining, people's issues. I always got to see that part, and I was like, I don't know how you deal with it. He was like, Adam, I'm exactly what y'all were saying. I'm never gonna make everyone happy at all, but I can't let that keep me from doing what I'm called to do.
You can't, because it will just make you frustrated, And you think about going back to that Starbucks lady. I'll never forget what she said she said, "Hey, here's your drink." Again, that 15 slogan Starbucks drink that I ordered. She said, "Here's your drink," and she told me when we pulled away, she said, "Hey, go be happy on purpose." And I looked at Sarah.
She said that to you?
She said that exact. She said, "Go be happy on purpose." I said, "Sarah, write that down. That's going to be an episode that we're going to use on Higher Up Podcast," because whatever the outcome was, I don't know that she could tell I was frustrated with the coffee. I never gave her any inclination that I was. But she chose to go out of her way, no matter how many people backed up in that line, were pulling away. And she said, "Hey, go be happy on purpose." And she had this big smile on her face. And I thought, man, I don't care. They could have taken 30 minutes to make that drink. It didn't matter.
Yep.
Go be happy on purpose. She was basically saying, you have a choice. I've made a choice. Now go be happy and do it on purpose.
Yeah, we had a similar situation. It was a couple Sundays ago after church. Emily wanted Milos. She loves Milos. I'm not a Milos person, sorry. She loves it. So we went to the one over in River Chase, and they were busy. Okay, they were busy. Not River Chase, the one over there close to the church. And we walk in, and this is this older gentleman. He is so excited to have you walk in. You feel like it's Moe's. All right. Honestly, it's what it felt.
Welcome to Milo's.
It's exactly what he did. And they were busy. And I can tell you, it took us, and this is Milo's, it took us 30 minutes to get our food. 30 minutes, right? But you could tell he was trying to do everything he could to talk people through. And I'll tell you what, man, I've never seen more people walk up and bother that man while he's trying to take orders. And he happily did it. He grabbed what they needed. If they needed a Milo sauce, they needed something, they needed a refill. He's doing it, taking order, doing it, taking order. And I told Emily, I was like, I don't care if we sit here for 45 minutes. He is working so hard. And he may not realize we're watching. And you could tell that people were frustrated. But I'm like, he's working so hard. This is a fast food joint. He's working so hard to make sure that these people are taken care of, that, he's given time to each person that ordering, that's needing something, that has, and you could tell they're just shorthanded. And so it was just like you guys said, you never know who's watching, and he's choosing that in that moment. There's no reason to be happy in that moment. It's stressful. People are mad that they're mad, but he's just continuing to serve, be happy. If you need something, you got it. And it was similar to what you were talking about, Benji. it kind of changes your perception because you don't know. You also have no idea who's watching what you're doing and how you're responding.
Absolutely.
So,
Well,
so Benji,
Yeah.
I've got a theory about your Starbucks lady. All right, I wonder if she might have been frustrated because who orders a drink that you got to use Chat GPT to understand exactly what it is?
True statement.
Venti, caramel, 8 Splenda. I don't remember what you said, but
I'm
I
sure
got to go
she
look that
gets
up.
a lot
She
more
probably
than that.
was.
I'm sure she does.
And I'll never. I think there's times where they've said, you don't have to order it that way. You can just say, I want a sugar-free caramel latte or whatever.
Yeah.
And we'll do it that way with almond milk. And I said, but that's not what y'all told me to order. She said, well, that's because we told you the Starbucks way. We just gave
Yeah.
you the Starbucks title.
This has nothing to do with the episode, but I just wonder, like, how in the world do people, especially you, Benji, get to where that's your Starbucks order? You're like, man, I love it with, a splash of coconut milk, and I need the Splenda, and I need it a little extra hot, but I want like a 1/4 foam. I don't get it. I don't get
That's
it.
because Starbucks is known for whatever they have taught these people. No matter how you say your order, that they're going to get it right 99% of the time.
I'm not. No, I get that. I'm just saying, how in the world did you get to that's your order? I'm like, hey, give me some black coffee. I'm gonna take a little bit of creamer. I'm gonna put it in there, stir it around. I'm good.
So I'll tell you exactly how. One holiday season, I wanted a caramel brulee latte, and they said because they only do them November, December.
Yeah.
They do the pumpkin whatever it is in the fall time.
Yes.
It's
Lord.
spice lattes, pumpkin spice latte. I'm not a holiday.
Lord
that
baby
kind of
Jesus.
thing. Anyway, so November and December they do a caramel brulee latte, but the problem is it's got a lot of sugar in it because of the syrup they pour in it. And I said they had ran out, and I said, ma'am, I would like that drink, but I want it sugar free. She said, well, first of all, we're out of that syrup for the season. You'll order your drink this way, then we'll get you what you want. It's very close. I said, okay. And then she said, oh, by the way, if you want to do it the Starbucks way, order it this way. And that's what I've done ever since then.
Yeah. When you said that, it had nothing to do with the episode. It cracks me up hearing people order their coffee order, no matter where it's from, and I'm like, did you?
So put in
Brady
the
said,
comments what your favorite Starbucks drink is.
Yeah.
Did you really use Chat GPT to figure out your
I'll
coffee?
give you a really funny story before we close the episode. We were Surf Pro. We obviously, you guys know that we do fire and water damage cleanup. We were on a storm up in Chicago, Illinois one year, and I had never really done Starbucks. Matter of fact, Brady's father-in-law introduced me to Starbucks back in the early 2000s. Because I had not drank coffee. He said, well, if you haven't, had coffee to drink ever, if you'll do it this way, it'll kind of get you used to drinking coffee over
Look
time.
what he did, Brady. He messed Benji up.
He did. He did. So we're in Chicago. I'm not kidding you. We're in Chicago. And back then, we used to have, for those of you that know what Nextel radios are out there listening.
Nextel. Wow.
We'd push the Nextel radio, and he goes, hey, I'm going to go to Starbucks, and I'm going to get all you guys. I want to take care of you. I want to get you a coffee. And I said, okay. He said, I've never been to Starbucks, so when I get there, I will Nextel you guys, and I'll just hold it on. I'll hold the button on while you order, and I'll let the lady listen. I said, okay. So he goes to Starbucks, and those Nextels, they work a long way. I mean, it's basically a big radio signal.
It's a massive
And so-
walkie-talkie.
Yeah. And he gets in line, and I told the people in there, I said, y'all watch this. And I didn't drink the same drink that I told you just now that I do. And I told him, I said, all right, this is going to be hilarious. So I pushed the button. I said, I want and I made up this name. Like just I don't even know what I said, to be honest with you.
Mocha, Choca, Loca, something.
Loca, Boca, something. And he comes on the radio. Now he's standing with the barista behind the cash register. He buzzes in, and you hear dead silence for like 8 seconds. And he goes, can you repeat that order? She has no clue what you just said. And of course, we're busting out laughing. So to your point, Starbucks, they make up these names. Who knows where they come from, but it's pretty funny.
I don't think our listeners understand the addiction that you have to Starbucks and Chick-fil-A. Like and Milo's tea. It's got to be with
It's got to
Splenda.
be Splenda Yellow
Splenda.
Cap. And the reason why I like Starbucks and Chick-fil-A, I know people laugh at me all the time, is because most every single time you go to those two places, it doesn't matter what you order, what you say, they are going to get it right most of the time.
Yeah.
And I don't like going to McDonald's. The kids love McDonald's. I don't like going to McDonald's because you can order 2 cheeseburger meal with only ketchup. It's going to have everything on it, no matter how you order it.
No matter how you order it.
It's frustrating. It's just frustrating.
Well, the kind of, as we get to wrapping up, I like to always end and kind of see where you guys are. So just hitting you guys as owners, right? You guys are business owners. Y'all deal with the good and y'all deal with the bad. What is it for the two of you guys that helps you continue to choose to be happy, to handle those situations? Because y'all deal with way more than anybody. It doesn't matter if you're our CFO or if you're just an hourly employee. You guys deal with everything that people aren't aware of. How do you choose to deal with those moments that are frustrating, and how do you choose to continue saying, hey, I'm going to choose to be happy in this? And aside from, obviously, this is how you guys live, this is what supports your family. Outside of that, you guys could essentially just say, hey, I'm good, I don't want to do this anymore, I could find something else. But how do each of you choose to live that happy life, to say, hey, even in the tough moments, I'm going to continue pushing forward, and we're going to choose to be okay with this, and we're going to handle this problem?
I'd like to hear Brady's first.
That was a very long-winded question.
That was very strategic. Very strategic. I mean, I think there's so many different ways that I could go with that. I mean, from a practical standpoint, a spiritual standpoint, I think at the end of the day, it's all part of a growth mechanism. And we've talked about growth a lot on the podcast. And I'll say evolution, not like evolution, but just us evolving as human beings and continuing to learn every single day is how do we get better? And it's just something that, I mean, I've learned over the years that if I respond a certain way, the outcome is just not great, and I am far from perfect, but I've just learned that there's so many different circumstances I have responded in the wrong way, and I see the outcome of that. So if I just take a moment and I just pause and I just listen, Adam, you talked about you and your wife earlier, and not that I do this all the time, but some of the best advice that I ever got from somebody is we were talking about how to handle like marital conflict or whatever, and one of my mentors at the time he said, you just got to laugh. And I was like, I don't think that's going to work. I don't know what kind of marriage you have, but I don't think. He said, no, not LAUGH, LAF. And I was like, you're going to have to explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, what is that?
He says when you're in a conversation, you ask the question, do you want me to listen, L? Do you want me to affirm what you're saying? Or in the situation, would you like me to fix the problem? Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay. And I mean, it's been a game changer because it gives me a little clarity into certain situations to where, hey, sometimes I'm, like you said, I'm just supposed to listen.
Yeah.
And sometimes, somebody wants me to fix it. But I think how we choose to react and just take 5 seconds, pause, take it in, use the discernment that God's given us to say, how do I need to respond in this situation?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I would say very, very similar to that. I mean, I have chosen to have a positive outlook on life in general. I mean, I'm not going to get into details about it now. We're going to do it on an episode later, but 2011 totally changed the trajectory of my life. Brady was a big part of that, getting me to the hospital that day. But ever since I went through that, and a lot of people say, I've never had that time in life where something's happened to me. I didn't up until that point. Never had anything like that. Mm-hmm. And, woke up that morning and basically I was like, man, the Lord's allowed me to live here longer. I need to use it as an impact to tell the story because it could change someone else's life. And I thought, I have a choice every day. I'm not going to be that person who's just going to be angry, who's going to be upset, because life is too short for that, Mm-hmm. People live like that all the time. And I'll be honest, because they choose to. Now, some people would say it's due to, substance they're using, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever. I think there are a lot of people that don't even have that just choose to live. They just choose to not be happy for whatever reason. Be content with what you have. That's what the Bible says. Be content with what you have. And whatever that is, use your gift to your advantage. And honestly, I took the barista's advice. I said, I'm going to choose to be happy on purpose. And sometimes I have to be reminded of that. I have to, because there are days, don't get me wrong, there are days I get frustrated, I get mad, I get upset. I don't let the outside world know it, but I do, because processes change, systems change, business platforms change, whatever those things are, your job change, for those of you that may have, gone a different job or whatever. And I just choose to be happy. And honestly, I took her advice. I'm going to be happy on purpose because I can do it on purpose.
Yeah.
And that's what it means to me.
That's good. That's a good one today, boys. I enjoyed that one. That's
It's
a lot to chew on. Hopefully our listeners think through it this week as they're listening to the episode. What are ways you can choose to be happy in your situation? Even right now, maybe you're listening to it and getting the kids in the car and getting to school was not the best thing. Maybe you had a fight with your spouse. Maybe you had a long day at work, but
or maybe you're going through the Starbucks drive-thru right now.
Maybe you're sitting in the line. So, but
No, I want to tell you guys, not only go to choose to be happy on purpose, but as we always say on Higher Up Podcast, don't forget to connect with us, but go out there and just choose to live a higher up life. Appreciate you guys listening in.
all right, we'll see y'all next time.